Hi, my name's Wilx, and this is the first episode of my Modded Fallout 4 series. Today we're going to be going over how to install mods, how to modify the INIs to make all the mods work together properly, and which mods would be my first picks for the game. So there's a couple of different ways of installing mods. You can install them manually, or Bethesda's come up with their own method of doing it recently, but it only has a fraction of the number of mods that you can get on the Nexus, because they're very selective of what they allow in. Anything that's a little risque like this won't get in, and there's lots of other reasons that they won't allow certain mods in. It's not just to do with risque. So we're going to use the Nexus Mod Manager. Now the Nexus Mod Manager, notice that it says Skyrim up here. We got a Skyrim character over here. Don't worry, we've got the right thing. It works for all these different games. All these games have mods up on the Nexus, and you can use the same mod manager to install it for all these games. Now you're going to have to create yourself an account. I've already got one, of course. It's free. It's easy to set up. And I'll download it for Windows. Now I've already downloaded this before, so it's really quick. But I'd completely uninstalled it the proper way and deleted the directory, so I'd have to go through it for you now. Now it wants to put it in program files. I don't want it to. I want to put it in games, make it a little easier for me to find it because I'm going to need access to it later. Next, and install. All this sort of standard stuff. Next again. Finish and launch. Now, it's going to go out and find a bunch of games. For instance, Fallout 4. See this little green check mark here? I've got to click on this little green check mark. Now, it found New Vegas and Skyrim because they're on an old drive. They haven't been properly installed on my new computer. So I don't want to do them yet. I'll do a reinstall of them if I'm going to use them. So quick startup. Don't ask me again. Okay, now what it's saying here is it's going to install all my mods in the Nexus Mod Manager directory instead of hiding them in the Fallout directory, like hiding them in Steam or something like that. Now what it's talking about here is whether it's going to put all the mods into their own separate categories, or put them all in one big file and let me make my own categories if I wish. If I pick the one if I click yes, then it's going to put them all in these little wee files, and I'm going to open each file folder to get at each mod, and it's a pain in the butt. I hate doing it. So I'd rather have them all. I've only got 20 mods. I'd rather have them all in one folder. So I'm going to press no. And they'll all go into this unassigned folder and be listed down here. So I'm going to move this just off screen for a sec to get out of the way. And now we'll go to our first mod that we're going to install. And this is better mod descriptions. So what we're talking about there is, see the description up here on the mod? It says, for instance, plus 25% damage. Normally that would say like more damage or something along those lines instead of giving me the numbers. Well, I feel the numbers are very important. I like to do proper analysis on which mod is better, which perk is better. I like to know the actual numbers behind what I'm doing. So I consider this mod critical. Or one of my favorite mods, I guess. Next up, okay, this one's going to show a little bit of nudity in the beginning. So sorry, I'm going to take this just off screen here. Oh, I forgot about that. The very first time it's going to want, I'm going to do this off screen. I'm going to put in my username and password for the Nexus that I had from before. We'll bring this back over for you to look at. There, we're in. Now, something I have to pay attention to here. See how this status says paused. So because it was the first one, it wasn't open yet. I got to click on it, and I've got to resume the download. So that's taken care of now. And we'll put it off to the side and click on here, and it's already installed. Okay, so I'm going to get better bodies and download it. And I did it just the same way I would do all the others. So let's bring up the next one so I get this off the screen. There we go. And this is body slide. This will better bodies is the basics for creating the better bodies. This is where you actually create them. With the CBBE, you could use their presets and not bothered to set your own. Like a lot of people use the curvy body one. I want to create my own, and I want to be able to modify all the outfits in the game to fit this new body that I come up with. I find that fun. So we're going to download this as well. Then next up, this is the one I had on the screen originally. This just replaces the basic clothing with sexier versions. And you needed Body Slide and Outfit Studio to make this one work. And we've already installed them. This one is just some underwear. I'm going to use the Never Nude version, and it dresses them in granny panties. So I'd rather they be dressed in something a little nicer looking. So I'm using this for the Never Nude version. And again, all these need better bodies and body slide to work. Next one here, this is just some more hairstyles so I can make the girls look better. Continue with my download. There we go. And next up, again, it's even more variations on the hairstyles. And next up is, these are better looking eyes, because we want their faces to look better, not just their bodies. And this next one's going to have a little bit of nudity in the beginning, so sorry, I'm going to take and install this or click on it off screen. This is the mod for actually, I'm not going to install it off screen. I'm going to show you what I'm downloading here. So let's go to Images, and there. So the nudity's hiding up where you can't see it. Okay, so down here, MK1 Caesar. That's the one. Yeah, I looked at this and I thought that might be the armor that I would wear in this game. So I found that I thought that looked kind of nice. You can pick a different one if you like it better. So let me install that. I'm just pressing on download like usual. And the next mod up is this one. So this next one is mostly female NPCs. If I'm going to go all to the trouble of making good-looking women in this one, I want more of them in the game. And next mod up is hide helmets. I haven't had very much luck with this one. It only does it for these named helmets here. He's going to add in more later, but all the helmets I've tried to wear haven't been in the list. So hopefully later on in the game I might, I didn't play very long in the game. I'll get one that's on the list. I'm a big fan of hats and helmets in real life, but in the game I've got a few, they look kind of stupid, a lot of them, so I have been unimpressed. This one just makes it easier to see things like holotapes and such, makes them glowing so you don't miss them when you walk by them. And it needed another mod, which we're about to install right now. A special one for magazines. It's just a fix. And there's one other along the same lines. This does the same thing as I was talking about, only it does it with chems instead. Like your stim packs and stuff are now going to glow. This one gives you a better looking map, and you can select it to show things like bobbleheads if you wish or not. But I would go with this map over what the Pip-Boy has. Your choice as to whether you want it to be a little cheaty or not. I don't find that overly cheaty. I'm going to end up looking up where they all are anyways. I should have done this one first, actually. It's going to take a little while to download. This is the regrowth overhaul. What that means is instead of all that brown dirt from the wasteland that shows up in this game and makes it look kind of depressing, it's going to put in green grass. I think it makes the game a little more fun for me. It's strictly just a visual thing. Next up is... this is just a patch to fix some of the problems that Bethesda hasn't fixed yet. And Northland Diggers. Don't bother with this mod unless you're going to be going up to at least 6 in Charisma. If you're up at 6 in Charisma, you can take a perk which allows you to assign settlers to workstations and produce stuff for you. This just gives you more workstations that you can assign them to, a little more variety on what things they can come up with. And Armorsmith Extended, that skimpier armor wanted this one. I should have put it up with it. And this one wants the keywords one. This keywords one, that's just a resource for other modders so that it's got a common set of keywords and all the mods can use those keywords. If they each try to assign their own keywords, you're going to run out of keywords later. And next up is Craftable Ammo. Okay, this is the closest we've got to being cheaty so far. It allows you to craft ammo in the game. I really enjoyed doing that in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and I would like to be able to craft ammo in this one as well. It's fairly well gated because you have to have lead to craft the ammo, and lead's hard to come by in this game. You can get it in pencils, and later on in the game you can get it in some barbells and things, but it's still fairly hard to come by, so it's not too overpowered, especially if you pick one of the lower amounts here. So that just makes it more fun for me, so I'm going to pick that one. There's a number of different ammo crafting mods. There's another one that allows you to make different types of ammo, like armor piercing and things, but you have to already have some of that ammo in the first place and then modify it, so it doesn't allow you to create new ammo. This one's very minor. You don't need it if you don't want it. All it does is it added a new line in here. It takes the value divided by the weight. So when you're dumping your junk, you can look at it and go, oh, this one's worth more than that one by weight. So as I'm trying to get my weight down, I should get rid of this one first, right? I normally do that those calculations very quickly in my head, so it's not a big issue, but I thought it just might get rid of some of the tedium in the game. Now, this one. This is a very good one, but I recommend that you don't install it yet. You wait until you make it to Sanctuary and then install this one. See, what's going to happen is it's going to, when you install this, it's going to start, it's going to stick a holotape in your inventory. And when the game starts and you go through the atomic blast and it makes the wasteland or whatever, you're going to have all your inventory wiped out. And it's going to wipe out the holotape. So then if you want to get the holotape back later, you have to go into the command console and type in the correct command to get a new copy of the holotape. I'm deliberately going to download it now, even though I know about this, because I want to show you how to get it. The reason you need to know that is later on, if you go to start a new game, you're going to have the same problem again. So we'll download that one. And that's all the mods I wanted to install. So we can now start installing them. Let's kind of do this in a little bit of order here. So we'll start with... very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take off screen. And that's Better Bodies. It warned me that I needed to make changes to the INIs, which I will make changes to the INIs. And I'll show you just a little bit of this. There we go. So I'm picking the curvy one. Next, and I'm picking Never Nude. I can now bring this back over. Okay, so that's installed. Now we'll go to Outfit Studio. That's done. The underwear meshes. This one's going to take a little bit more to install. Give it half a sec. It's got a lot of things to put in place. What this is going to do is replace all the basic outfits that are in the game, like the Raiders and stuff, with sexier versions, better looking versions. Come on. There we are. Okay. Now, do I want the pre-built meshes? In other words, if I'm going to make my own in body slide, I don't need the pre-builts. Well, I'm going to make my own in body slide. You can click it. Even if you're making your own, you can still click yes if you want. I'm going to click no because I don't need them. Need the body slide files? Absolutely. Required textures. I'm not worried about any of these particular gloves. Actually, let's go back. I'm going to take all the gloves. Armor Smith Extended. Remember we installed that. This is the mod that wanted it. Okay, and okay. Oh yeah, because I'd already picked Never Nude in the other one, so we're overwriting that and replacing it with the Never Nude version from here. Okay. And yeah, I'm not worried about the order after this. So we'll just start at the top and work down. Armor Smith Extended. Come on, get to it. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to do the main one, which gives me all the stuff. Oh, and I need that as well. I can handle the 4K. You can get it with locations or without locations. Is less cheaty. Your choice. Or you can pick a lower resolution if your computer's slower. I'm going to pick the recommended, which is the 25 times. That's fairly reasonably balanced. easier to see glowing stuff. It wants me to choose a couple of things here, so we're going to expand this out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to pick the orange text for magazines. I'm going to pick glowing holotapes and glowing bobbleheads. And finish. This next one's going to show a little bit of nudity, so we'll get that off screen again just for the first few seconds. That's that same armor mod. Oh, it didn't show any nudity. I was wrong. I could have done that on screen. Hide helmets. Mostly female NPCs. Whoops. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Most of these all are very straightforward. Oh, this one, Ponytail Variations. Let's get all the variations, giving me more options. Or mostly giving you more options. I think I know what I want already. Now, for this one, I'm going to make a very strong recommendation here as soon as the screen pops up. There it is. Pick all textures. Don't do that. It takes forever, or at least it was more work than I wanted to go through. Author's Picks works well. Pick that one. The unofficial patch. Value to wait. Now we're still downloading one, so we'll come back to that later. That's the regrowth overhaul. There's an awful lot goes into that one. So we'll put this down for a sec. Now, something else you need to know about. You need to be able to change your INIs. So let me come up with an example here. On this one, if you went down the page, there are installation instructions. Whoops, installation instructions. And specifically, it wants us to put this in the Fallout 4 custom INI. Now, there's a few different mods that want us to do things like that. So I've cut and pasted them all onto Notepad here. So what they're saying is, and it's easier to see here as well. So resource directories final, and this person has listed off all the directories they put stuff into, like textures and things along those lines. And it's telling the game to go look in all these directories to find the stuff that they've modded. That's a bad way of doing it. There is a better way. The better way is, for instance, regrowth overhaul. They've listed the correct way to do it. Instead of the, notice how they've got a, where was it here? A 0 here, meaning you only need to look in these directories. They put down a 1, which is telling you to look in all the subdirectories. Might take you like a fraction of a second longer to look in all the subdirectories, but it makes sure that it works for all the mods, not just one or two of them. It also protects you if there's an update to the game and it changes the way the directories are sorted a little bit, and some of your mods might stop working. Since it's looking in all of them, it won't matter anymore. So much better to do it this way. Hold on a sec. There we go. An aggressive ad was making noise in the background. Okay, so we're going to use this method. It's the better way of doing it, and it should work. You don't need to name them all off like this. If for some reason I'm wrong, you can let me know in the comments, but I've spent way more time than I should have, hours trying to research this and find out how I could get all these to work together, and I think I understand the way it works now. So this one also wanted you to make changes to it. Now, they said to put it in the Fallout 4 INI. This is a bad idea as well. See, what happens is the game first reads the Fallout 4 INI, and then the Fallout 4 custom INI goes in, gets loaded after that, and only pays attention to the changes that are in the custom INI, and they overwrite whatever was in this one. So this wouldn't even show up if other mods have changed the custom INI. So it's bad for them to do it that way, period. On top of that, if the game is updated, they're liable to change the Fallout INI and just overwrite it, wiping out any changes that you made. Where to leave the Fallout 4 custom INI and still install that after the fact, keeping your changes. So change the custom INI, not the Fallout 4, no matter what the mod tells you. And there's one other thing in here that we've got to pay attention to, and that is this one here. You've got to change something on a different file, your Fallout 4 preferences. So let's go change that stuff. So we'll shrink this down a little bit. The section I want is there. The way you get to it is you bring up this, Documents. We're going to go to My Games, Fallout 4, and that's where they're all hiding. So, the one we want to start with is Custom INI. So we're going to open that. Now notice it's set up this way. We want to do it this way. So we're just going to replace the part under Archive with that. Now there is one other that wanted us to make changes to this as well, but they seem to already be correct. I don't remember whether it's because I already made the changes or whether they were that way by default. I'm sorry, I just don't remember. But it's the one for the color map. You have to list off these things as well. They're already set that way. I may have added them in and just forgot to delete them, sorry. Okay, so now we need to save this. You can mark it as read only if you want. I'm not particularly worried about that part. So the other thing we needed to go to was this file here. We're going to open it. And I may have already made this change. I can't remember. Where was it? Which one changed that one? Yeah, this one. So they want it to be a 1. Yeah, I've already changed it. It might have started out as a 0 and you got to change. So it's at the very bottom of the file. It says launcher, last aspect ratio. You want to change that to no, bEnableFileSelection. Oh no, the line's not in there at all. Okay. My apologies. No, you need to copy this and put it in there. Okay, so this is for the better mod descriptions one? Yeah, Fallout Preferences INI. So yes, you have to add in the line to make that work on the launcher. Okay, so basically it's the last line in the thing. And we need to save that one. We might deliberately want to mark that one as read only. Properties, read only. Apply. Okay. And we'll mark this one too. Properties, read only. Apply. Okay. Okay, so that part's done. Let's go back and see if we finished downloading. Yes, we have. We'll install that. Okay, so that covers it for this episode. I've spent long enough on this already. Next episode, I'm going to go through how you set up a body in Body Slide, what some of the sliders mean, at least the ones I could figure out, and show you the differences and stuff, and you can design your own and make it look the way you want. So that's it for today. I hope you learned something new. I hope I at least came up with some interesting information, like how the INIs actually work. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Even the mod developers, a lot of them don't seem to know how it works properly. It took me hours to research that and figure out exactly what was going on. So I hope that helped. Hope to see you next time. Go out there and have some fun. Thanks.